Hello everybody, my name's James and for the final time this season, welcome to the Planet FPL Gameweek 38 deadline stream in partnership with FPL Team. And it's live, we are 55 minutes away from the final FPL deadline of the 2024-25 season. As per usual, over these next 55 minutes or so, I'll be going through as many of your FPL dilemmas as possible ahead of that deadline. Although I suspect I'm going to answer a lot of those questions right at the start. Before I get into them, let me take you through some of the graphics. So my team is bust on screen. Sells, Collins, Kvyat, Vardiol, Salah, Bumo, Bowen, Rogers, Visser, Watkins, Cunha. I have 2 free transfers. The intention, as it has been all week, is to go Ilanga to Saka, captain Saka, bench Rogers, and the other transfer, Cunha to Evan Nilsson. Unless something spooks me close to deadline, that is what I'll be doing at around about 2:25 p.m. In the bottom right hand corner, you will see all my predicted lineups for all 20 teams playing this game week. A note for our advanced and intermediate plus tier patrons. Couple of changes from this morning's team news stream. I've updated the Newcastle team that's aligned with pretty much the rumoured team that is going round, which does include Alexander Isak in it. I always thought he'd play anyway. And I've also changed Binder in goal for Manchester United. It sounds like Andre Onana's not going to play. As far as I'm aware, those are the only 2 kind of rumoured leaks that are going around. From our patrons watching live, please tag me on Slack if we've got any information to share from team news. To the left of me, you'll see my top captaincy picks in order of preference. Saka is top of the shop for me. Below me, you'll see the benching dilemmas, where there are 2 players together. The player with the tick is the preferred option to start out of those 2 players. They run in order, left to right, pages 1 to 4, and you will find some goalkeepers on page 5. Right at the bottom of the screen, you'll see all the flag players as per FPL's website at the moment as well. I will be leaving this stream at 2:30 p.m. today because I've got a game to go to and a party to celebrate. Let's get into your questions. Dazar9 is first. Actually, no. Before we do the questions, I'm going to answer a load of questions. If you want to buy a defender this week, Ben White. If you want to buy a goalkeeper this week, don't bother unless you've got no goalkeepers planned. Midfielder, best captaincy, Saka. Wait for Arsenal team news if you want to go a differential midfielder punt. If you're not sure on anything, not comfortable, go Anthony Gordon. If you can't afford that, go Antoine Semenyo. Up front, buy Evan Nilsson. Keep Isak. There you go. We could probably end the stream now. Dazar9 says, afternoon, James. Which 2 transfers from this lot would you do for a -4? Diaz in for Bumo. Diaz in for Bumo. Welbeck in for Vardy. Sade in for Murphy. And Semenyo for Rogers. Thanks. Which 2? Well, from that, Welbeck for Vardy is the obvious one. I wouldn't sell Bumo, mate. Semenyo for Rogers. King of Mandalore says Cunha to Welbeck or Rogers to Trossard/Martinelli/Diaz/Gordon. Still undecided on the midfielder, lol. So I'd probably just go Cunha to Welbeck, mate. Spooky Sorcerer says, I have a set attack of Salah captain, Isak, Watkins, plus 3 Brentford attack. If no leaks, all start. Do Munoz to Kirkes? If so, who to bench? Livramento, Bradley, Vardiol. Also start Sade on Murphy. Between Sade and Murphy, slight preference for Jacob Murphy. Obviously sounds like he's going to start as well, although it probably is the wing back position, but he'll still be the one that gets highest up that right hand side for Newcastle. It could be a back 4, by the way, that rumoured team that's been going around. It could be it's a back 4 and Gordon plays as a 10. That's a possibility. Yeah, Murphy just about on that. Munoz to Kirkes is like fine, isn't it? But I'll reiterate what I've been saying most of the week. Daniel Munoz is a bit of a freak of nature, mate. It could be any time in terms of an attacking return, but obviously you're not anticipating a clean sheet today. There's a high probability of Kirkes going mental today, isn't there? So if you're happy with all your attack, yes, I would stress that I would only be making a defensive change if you are completely happy with all of your attacking 7. Ian from Melbourne says, hi James, bench 1 of Bowen, KDB or Isak, reluctantly KDB. Also, where's the National League playoff final tickets? Justice for Oldham and South fans. Up the shrimpers. Yeah, a bit of a disgrace going on for the National League playoff final. Wembley sounds like it's going to be operating at restricted capacity. Keep putting the pressure on. Hopefully that gets changed. By the way, because I'm leaving at 2:30 and I think a lot of these questions are going to be repetitive. If anyone's got any non-FPL, feel free to throw them in at any point actually. Especially if they're involved in the Europa League champions. Gavin Richardson says, hey James, have you seen the meme of Slot, Eddie, Ange, Glasner and Arteta all holding cups, Arteta holding a cup of tea? No, but I've seen the one where he's holding an empty bottle. Tommy Gonzo says, hi James, happy final day. KDB and Woods, Saka and Evan Nilsson for -4. That's fine. Also, my keepers are Sarr and Henderson. Do I just stick with them or make a keeper transfer? I mean, at worst case, Henderson's going to play. Keeper not worth a -4 for, or a transfer, which I presume is going to be a -4 anyway for 1 week, mate. Yeah, just listen, Henderson is probably like a 3-pointer today. So to take a -4 for a keeper, you need it to be kind of at least 8 for it to be worthwhile. Tom Johnson this afternoon, James, 1 free transfer, sell Marmoush for Isak/Welbeck, or a boring defensive transfer. Isak's been sold by an... yeah. We were pretty clear early in the week. He's been sold by a lot, hasn't he? I mean, what a great... It's going to be a fucking differential now. I've added him for the benefit of the patrons, but I've added him back to the captaincy matrix because it really... think we can feel comfortable enough that he's going to start now by the sounds of things. I mean, on that basis, I'd go Isak over Marmoush. As long as you feel comfortable with that, I would go Isak over Marmoush. Gazman this afternoon, James, no question. Thanks for the advice this season. All the best. You too, mate. Thanks, buddy. Thank you for all your support. And for everybody in the stream, thank you for your support. If you've liked any of the Deadline streams this year, smash a like. If you're a Tottenham fan, smash a like. Just smash a like. Luke Stevenson says, if Cunha and Isak both leak to start, you won't get any Wolves moves. So unlikely, mate. Would you keep Cunha or replace with one of Evan Nilsson, Isak, or Diaz? Sell Sarr. If keep Cunha, would you get Kirki's share to then bench one of Milenkovic or Vardiol? Nah, I mean, Vardiol starting's great, mate. So, yeah, I would make the midfield. I would make the option. Replace with one at Evan Nilsson. I'd probably still go Evan Nilsson over this. I'll tell you why as well. Like, is there a chance? We've seen a few games recently where Newcastle have done really well and Isak's kind of missed out on the returns. And is there a scenario today where they're 2-0 up at half time and they go, yeah, thanks, mate? Could be. He's probably not at 100%, is he? C Bacon 87 says, hi James, is Cunha now a hold for chasers? 16 points off 10k. Haaland and Marmoush and my other forwards, cheers. Here's what I'd say about Cunha, right? And again, really so unlikely to get any Wolves information for deadline. The only information we can expect, truthfully, is on the biggest clubs. If Larsson's fit, I don't think Cunha will start. But I've no idea if Larsson's fit or not. That's how I'd sell it to you. And for peace of mind, I'd be selling that personally, I think. Because I think there are 3 or 4 other forwards better this week. Hanzo Harashi says, afternoon, James, Cunha and Semenyo or Evan Nilsson and Rogers. Cheers and have a good one. Option 2, pretty much based on what I just said in my last answer. Okay, thank you for that, Abdul. Let's just double check the source on that, because that's quite early news coming through if it's true. Lazy FPL as of 2 minutes ago, saying Marmoush starts for Manchester City. Abdul, can you follow up? Thank you, mate. Can you follow up on the other bit of information you've sent me on that? Because I can't see the information on that. So what's the source on that, just before I share it? But that's definitely from Lazy FPL tweeting and saying Marmoush starts for Manchester City. Sorry, I've got it, Abdul. So another one as well. Kevin De Bruyne doesn't start. That actually came in before they even started the stream. From Lazy FPL. So Kevin De Bruyne not to start. So that's a sell all day long. Marmoush, I would say, is a hold for most people. So Lazy FPL, 99% of the time right. Take these informations with obviously your own risk. Things can change. People throw up in the toilets 2 hours before kickoff and stuff. Not often, but it can happen. So Lazy FPL saying Marmoush starts, Kevin De Bruyne does not. Moving on, Prashan says, hi James, thoughts on Isak and Rogers to Welbeck and Saka for a -4. Need to do something different from my mini league rival. Isak and Rogers, I just would not be selling Isak at this point. What's your mini league rival? Have they panicked and already sold Isak? I mean, that could be a possibility, couldn't it? Wouldn't be doing it. I wouldn't be doing it. No. Stephen Moore says, hi James. First of all, massive congratulations. However, looking to target Spurs, my final transfer with Minter, also considering Barnes, Semenyo, Marino. Favourite of those, cheers. With the information on the Newcastle lineup, probably as it sounds, it's Harvey Barnes for me. Yeah, I'd probably go with that. You know what he is? He's probably like he's a 2-pointer or a double-digit return. You know what I mean? I'd chase that. So I think Harvey Barnes is what I'd go through from that. In terms of targeting Tottenham, is fine. All I'd say is I think people might be completely overlooking today is the atmosphere is going to be absolutely bouncing. The predicted Tottenham lineup I've got is stronger than what most other people are predicting. I think that's important to acknowledge. But it might yet be stronger than that. Thank you, Abdul. It might yet be stronger than that. It might be weaker. It could be the sort of the team that played against Aston Villa. I don't think it will be that weak. It's not like, we've got to think about the next game. There's no tomorrow. So anybody from the first 11 that's not like completely like puking up in the bucket should start, really. D.80 says, hi James, thanks for all your content this season. Wood to Evan Nilsson and Minter to Saka for a hit. Or just a striker transfer. 30 points clear my second mini league. Cheers. Look, I think Saka's the best captaincy, so I would be doing it. Dazar R9 says, one more. If I'm up against Captain Salah and they're also playing bench boost, do I captain Salah and pray rest the team performs or just go against Salah? We'll have about 3 players the same. What are you doing, mate? Chasing? Are you protecting? That doesn't give me enough there, really. So do you want to block or do you want to go against? I mean, that definitively obviously answers the question, doesn't it? Melon Musk says, hey, James, would you sell Palmer to Bowen or Diaz? I don't feel comfortable selling Palmer, though. Don't feel comfortable selling him? Keep him, mate. I think Chelsea will win today. Berticus says, hey, James, got 1 free transfer. Would you move Cunha to Evan Nilsson? I'm going to do it, mate. Already got Semenyo. The other option for the free transfer is a defender move. Yeah, I'll be going Evan Nilsson, mate. FPL Uproar says, hey, James, want to thank you for the content you guys brought to us. Have a good last game. All the best. Thank you, mate. You too. Dave Hannigan says, does Binder... Oh, wow, there's a lot of questions in here, isn't there? Does Binder starting instead of Onana actually hurt Watkins' chance of returning? No, not at all, mate. He's shit as well. I'll tell you straight. Like, Jody Pegler says, hi James, would you transfer Saliba to White or do Sarr to Martinelli or Semenyo? Which would mean starting Vardy, Diaz and Milenkovic. Cheers. Attacking transfer, mate. That's my preference. John says, hello mate, thoughts on Gordon? Cheers. Yeah, don't mind that as a punt. Sounds like he's starting. Gavin Richardson says, looking forward to the pod about your Bilbao trip. Is that the best football moment with your dad? That Spurs end looked totally limbs at the end. I fired up United standard background, utter gold. It wasn't better than Ajax. And I told everybody that on Patreon before it started, that I don't think anything will ever top Ajax. And it didn't. I think when I reflect on it, I'll go, yeah, like greatest achievement would be, yes, probably winning. I mean, it is definitely at the moment. Greatest achievement in my time supporting Tottenham is winning that trophy. But in terms of the moment, nothing will top Ajax. But yeah, it was amazing. Burke says, thank you. Burke says, hi James, could you rank these players for this game, assuming we don't get any leaks? Saka, Diaz, Semenyo, Rogers, Murphy, cheers. You'll find, I mean, Saka top of all of them. Probably then Semenyo based on the fixture. The other 3 you'll be on the bench in dilemmas. Spooky Sorcerer says, I'm only 12 points off 100k. If I think Salah is the best captain, do I go for it to go someone differential like Saka? If you think Salah's the best captaincy, mate, you go for Salah. It's simple as that. Ultimately, it's 1 week. Get as many points as you can. Zane FX says, hey James, please give me a free hit team for today with 1-2 wild punts. Thanks and congrats on Europa. Okay, if I was free hitting this week, roughly, Pope, White, Kivior, Kirkes, Bowen, Bumo, Salah, Saka, Evan Nilsson, Isak now, I think, probably. And arguably Welbeck. Or Haaland. If Haaland works into that, I'd still probably go that. Wild as wild could be. There's not a lot in that. The best wild ones, really, I think, is like Gordon Barnes, one of them. Or if you get it right out of Trossard, Martinelli, I would say. Next up, it says Sean G. Hi, James. My cup rival will likely captain. I've done that, haven't I? No, I haven't done that. Sorry, Sean G. Hi, James. My cup rival will likely captain Salah, who I don't own. Should I take a hit to go KDB and Watkins to Salah and Evan Nilsson? Or do Cunha to Evan Nilsson, captain Bumo, who he doesn't own? I'd be very tempted to take the hit now with that KDB news. You're going to move KDB on, I'm fairly sure now, Sean. Melon Muss says, would you sell Munoz to Kivior and bench Konsa? Yeah, again, as long as you're happy with all your attackers, otherwise I'd prefer attacking change. Cole Slipher says, hi James, would you rather have Pickford and Calafiori or Raya and Collins? Thanks. Raya's not likely to hold today, is he? But Collins is more likely than Pickford. Raya and Collins. Vivek Gore says, Haaland to Welbeck / Evan Nilsson, which do you prefer? I think City win well today. I'd be very tempted to keep him. Again, think about this, and you've got the time more than me now to look for all the questions. I bet no one asked me about buying Haaland. I'd probably keep him, mate. Paige Turner says, hey James, what did you work at before you started doing content full time? I sold bags for Suj. True story. Jack Tasker says, ranked 150k aiming at, yeah, it is true story. It sounds like just the way I said it is like, oh yeah, I was strutting around knocking on houses selling handbags. It wasn't quite like that. Packaging. Jack Tasker says, ranked 150k aiming to climb into top 100k, 25 points. It's probably not going to happen, Jack, I'm afraid to tell you. But teams fairly template with Salah, Vardy, etc. 1 free transfer. Who and how many are some players worth taking hits for to diversify my team? Well, the more hits you take, mate, the more that you've got to make the points gap up. I'll be honest, right? Making up 25 points is it's fine. But to overtake 50,000 teams is not likely, I'm afraid to say, mate. So do you know what? Most important thing, Jack, enjoy today, mate. It's like me, right? I think I'm 19 points off 25k. No chance. Absolutely none. I'd be happy with staying inside the top 50k, really, because I know I can't hit that. I'd need a miracle. House of Bankies Win says, would you keep Ange over getting Glasner or Frank? At this moment, yes. Yes, I think there'll be so much regret. If we change September, October, there's every chance that'll happen. But I think there's a moment of happiness. Stay with the happiness for the moment. The chances are it will blow up. If Tottenham, this is how I'd sell it to you. I'll sell it a different way, and I said this on one of my streams, maybe yesterday morning for patrons. If Tottenham have got agreement with Luis Enrique, then cool. Unless it's super definitively, absolutely going to be better at this moment, I'd stay, because it's a small chance. But there is a small chance that it could get better. There is also a chance we appoint someone else and it gets worse. A lot of people, when I've done this, have referenced about it feels a bit like the Ten Hag scenario last season. It's okay, Ten Hag's won a trophy. Oh, we feel like we've got to stick with him. And then he's gone anyway. I get it. And there's every chance that's what's going to happen with Ange. But the guy they've appointed, it's not got better since. So there's no guarantee it gets better. David James Whiteway says, Borough fan, rooted for Spurs. So happy for you, James. Thanks again for the brilliant content this season. Thank you. Gavin Richardson says, is this a season of fans clubs who just crave a trophy actually winning? Manu said they wouldn't do a trophy tour if they won, and it wasn't the trophy that mattered to them. Trophies matter. They do. And I think there'll be a narrative for this, next season. Be oh, who wants it more? I think they'll win because they want it more. And next year it'll probably go completely the other way. Gavin and all the favourites will win. Ottoman says, hey James, 1 free transfer, assuming Saka and Isak start. Should I transfer Saliba to White or Murphy to Bowen and Saliba to Burn -4? Ottoman, a lot of that's going to, who's your defenders on the bench? I mean, a -4 for Dan Burn, it's not that. But yeah, I'd get Bowen in, mate. D-Taf says, hi James, assuming we don't get leaks, should I prioritise Sarr, Elanga, Marino to Saka, on which one to cut, or gamble Vissa to Isak? If we haven't got the info from that, it's Sarr or Elanga, isn't it? I think, because you'd be gutted to sell Marino if he starts, right? Ultimately, the other two, okay, I knew they'd start anyway. So from that, I'd probably keep Marino. Okay, yeah. That wasn't helpful, Darren. Mark Goldbridge, just a note on Manchester United. Some players are missing the game today because they've been carrying knocks and injuries for the last few weeks, months. So, might be a slightly weaker Manchester United team than perhaps expected as well. Sorry, I'm just obviously trying to keep an eye on messages at the same time here, guys. 35 minutes to deadline. Next up is Dara Sam Maguire. Here we go, James. Thanks again for everything this year. Really appreciate your guidance. Cunha to Evan Nilsson. Well about Evan Nilsson for me. Jason, 6 points in Mini League. Bumo Elanga to Clive Martinelli for -4. Not for me, mate. Not for me, no. Elanga to Martinelli, if you've got a leak, I'm cool with. Let me sell it like that. Simon Baker says, James, would you prioritise Watkins to Isak? Yeah, I don't mind that. Play Rain 8 Norrie versus Boomer and Vissa, or Rain Norrie to White, play Watkins. We'll just have a nice hot bath and forget about it all. Listen, I've got Wolves Brentford as 2-2. 8 Norrie and those two Brentford guys could all return, mate. Yeah, I would prioritise attacking players, mate. Spooky Torso, if Saka's bench, go for Bowen or Diaz. Really like Diaz for this week. You're looking for confirmation bias, mate. And that's okay. You like Diaz, go. Listen, it's last day of the season. Go for the player you want to, mate. Vibes FC and all that. But no, if that's what you like, there'll be reasons for it. Go for it. I think he plays. Don't think it's a certainty though. That's what would put me off. Can Liverpool recently be a little bit off-putting? And Palace are decent, right? But if you want to go there, you go there, mate. Personally, I'd be very surprised if Saka's benched. If he is, by the way, if there was some form of confirmation on that, I'm obviously not buying him. I don't even know what I'm going to do. I'll probably punt a different Arsenal player and captain Salah, I think. I think that's probably where I'd be leaning. I don't have much. Do you know what? Normally I've got kind of pre-prepared alternative plan. I've not even really thought about that. Anthony Gordon. I might go Anthony Gordon, actually. Why haven't... It's all I've been thinking about. DTAF, sorry, and if I'm starting Vardy, who shall start between Diaz and Constance? Still Diaz. Gavin Richardson, if I had a spare transfer, I'd be tempted by Burn. On form, no Tarkovsky. His big head nut in one pass, T-Rex at the Gallagate, written in the stars, smash a light, yo, laters. Tarkovsky and Brantford both being missing is obviously very bad for Everton. I don't think it necessarily makes them that worse from set pieces because Michael Keane will play. Michael Keane's good in the air. So I wouldn't let that be your definitive. Chris Wood says, if Isak is out, sounds like he's not. Craig Hope has tweeted, by the way, saying Isak has arrived at the stadium. If Isak is out, Haaland for free, just keep Isak, mate. LP says, hi James, on free hit. Best differentials that most people won't be able to choose to go to. I'm going to skip LP because I kind of read out a free hit team. And I think within that, there are some differentials, mate. Might not feel like it, but some of them still will be, mate. Mark Williamson says, good afternoon, James. No question, just thanks for great content this season. Thank you, Mark. Good luck. Big Chief, punt captaincy and differential with biggest upside this week. Punt captaincy, I mean, for shits and giggles now, it's Isak. For me, it's Saka. I don't think that ownership is going to be that high. So I truthfully, I think it's Saka. Differential with the biggest upside this week. I'm going to say Anthony Gordon. Jack Tasker says, last stream of the season, give a thumbs up, everyone. Cheers for another good year, James. Thank you, Jack. Shout out James, Jaden. Hope you're well. Jacob S says, hi, James. If there's any lineup leaks, I will be sharing, mate. Brighton is not one you should expect. Again, it's only likely to be the big clubs that there's information on, and you can all decide for yourselves who's a big club and who's not. CMP says, hi, James. 1 free transfer and trying to protect rank. Do you prefer A, Palmer to Saka, B, Cunha to Evan Nilsson, or C, move Dean to Cucurella or a Newcastle defender? Thanks for the content. My preference is the Saka move, mate. Diljit says, can you predict which games will have 4 or 5 goals today? I've got every game predicted in terms of my correct scores on the screen, rotating with the captaincy, mate. KB says to the lads at Planet FPL, first year taking FPL a bit more seriously, so started listening for tips and guidance, but now just here for the football chat. All the best and see you guys next year. Thank you, mate. Have a good one. Murphy says, hi, James. Want to thank you again for another great year of content. I was ranked 4 million in December. Boom. And now set up for a 5th top 100k finish in a row. Your insight was a major factor. Hashtag play it your way. You press the buttons, Murphy. Well done. Running Man says, overall 11. I mean, what are you doing here? Eze to 8.6 million midfielder, bench Rogers. Rogers to 7.3 mid, bench Eze. Which mid? So we're in that 8.6 million bracket. I'm going to say Gordon. But if there is a leak on the Arsenal team, like i.e. Trossard or Martinelli, I would prefer one of them. But without the information, I'm going to say Gordon. Who historically, and our Newcastle patrons have warned this, seems to try too hard against Everton. Missed the penalty against them earlier this season, but that's where I'd punt, is Anthony Gordon. Tanky says, if Cunha starts, would you still sell into Welbeck, Evan Nilsson? Yes. Not so much Welbeck, but Evan Nilsson, yeah. Big Chief, cheers, mate. You're the best. Thank you. Christoph Frosk. Hi, James. Wishing everyone a fun final game. Many thanks to you. Woohoo! Chris Randall says, would Martinelli be a big differential than Saka? Well, yes, of course. Torfig Yusuf says, hi, James. Who'd start? Boomer Rogers. Second highest score in the game, maybe, yeah? Wolves conceded 4 in midweek. Daniel Rogelski says, good luck for one final game week, James. 2 free transfers, 2.6 million in the bank. Isak and Murphy, no. Or Isak, oh God, I don't like either of them, mate. I would not be selling Alexander Isak at this point, mate. Honestly, Cape, this is a major differential now, mate. Look how many people sold him. Jack said, just wanted to say a huge thank you for your content over the season. Best of luck for the final week. Cheers for encouraging me to play it my way. You're very welcome, mate. Voshon says, I don't trust Saka starts. KDB to Gordon or Bowen or Bournemouth mid. At this stage, you've not had Bowen's returns all these last few weeks. I generally would go Gordon. Tom loves his favourite mid under 7.4. I don't know what price Gordon is, but he might be. What price is Anthony Gordon? You can tell I'm so well in the loop this week. Anthony Gordon. Look at that. 7.4. Or mind you said under 7.4. I would punt Martinelli maybe. And if you're not comfortable with that, I'll say Semenya. John Eggle Johansson says, play Eze or upgrade to Luis Diaz or Bowen. Bench one of Rogers, Jacob Murphy. I would play Murphy over Rogers. And I would go Bowen off the 2. Jaylee, I did a free hit example, but good luck. AC7, hi James. Straight swap Isak for Watkins or keep Watkins to Mateta to Evan Nilsson. Drop Rogers. Mateta to Evan Nilsson, I think. Vivek Gore, have Vardiel, Munoz, Bradley, Const from Timber. Would you take a hit to get cut? No. If not, pick one to bench. From Vardiel, Munoz, Bradley, Constant, Munoz. They're all on the bench in dilemmas, mate. The whole lot. Kari says, hi, James. Congrats on the season. Would you rather Semenyo or Kepa as third Bournemouth today? I would rather you went and bought an attacking player, mate. John says, James, congrats. Thank you, John. Woodstock, Chris. Hello, James. Just a massive thank you for everything this season. Good luck. And everyone smash the like button. Thank you. Lander says, hi James, I'm on free hit this week. Need a differential to catch my mini league leader. Which one to choose out? Haaland, Barnes, Gordon, Semenyo. Haaland. Russell Baker says, Palace fans, season for the birds. Congratulations. Palmer to Saka, lot. Eze over Rogers. Cashing or Cassing? Have Sales Williams or VDB if Cunha doesn't start. Vandenberg. Yeah, that's all okay, mate. Although Cunha's not likely to not be involved at all, I'd probably say. Thomas Thornton says, I have Bumo, Diaz, Salah, Rogers, Vissa, Gakpo and Watkins. Not worth a minus, is it? I don't know what you got in the bank, mate, but I would be very much considering looking at that. Watkins to Evan Nilsson and Rogers to Saka, if that works. I don't know if it will, probably won't. Or even Diaz to Saka if it works. Alan Holohan says, now that KDB is benched, I have to use free transfer on that. I'm also bust on Trippier, but looks like he doesn't start. Is there any defender worth taking a hit for? Just play Munoz. Just play Munoz, buddy. Sam and Andrew 17, Telegraph question. Need to take out McAllister for another mid, but can't afford Saka, Odegaard or Martinelli. Do I go Trossard, Gordon or someone else? I already have Eze, Bruno G and Sade. Look, if Trossard's in the team, and obviously for Telegraph you'll know, I'd go Trossard. If not, Gordon. Gavin Richardson says, thanks for the content this season. For those who don't, my intermediate plus doesn't owe me a penny. Enjoy your weeks off and look forward to COTC week. One of the best pods on Cincinnati. Thank you, Gavin. Correspondent week will be August the 4th to the 8th this summer. Nemanja Kovac says, Haaland or Isak on free hit if money is no issue. Haaland, probably. Just on what I said about, is there a scenario Newcastle were comfortable and he's missed? And normally we'd say, oh, he's probably done the damage by them. But there have been a few occasions recently where Newcastle have done really well and he has missed the returns. Danny Smith says, hi, James. 7 points behind league rival. 0.5 in the bank to replace either Beto or Decore. Who would you pick as replacement? Gruder in my thoughts at the moment. You read too many tweets of Andy Martin, mate. You got certain Gruder's a starter. Doesn't just play Ayari and O'Reilly. You sure? Gruder is a very talented player. I spoke about that on Friday's podcast, but it wouldn't be a consideration for me at this moment in time. So in that bracket range, to be honest, I wouldn't look far beyond Semenyo. Truthfully. JG says, hi James, chasing rival has bench boost and 9 points up. My differential was a Bowen captain, Boomer and Watkins. Is that enough for a -4 for Saka and Kivior a better option? He won't have Saka back as Arsenal defence. I don't. Look, you can make up that difference just on Bowen captain, mate. So I would not be taking a -4 that includes a hit for a defender. Arsenal win 5-1 today and he misses, right? Subliminal Punker says, sell Wood or Visser to Evan Nilsson. Wood, mate. Politics Explained Tutoring says, hi James, thanks for the content this season. De Bruyne, Haaland and Rodgers 2. Saka, Captain Salah and Evan Nilsson from -8. Not loving it. Or De Bruyne and Watkins to Welbeck and Salah captain from -4. And keep Haaland. Yeah, prefer that, mate. DTAF, non-FPL. With Manchester United's financial black hole and apparent fire sale, do you think Tottenham should be entertaining offers for any of them? Garnacho, Mino, even Rashford? Rashford, no. But the other two I'd be interested in. The only thing is, you do hear a lot of stuff from United fans about Garnacho and his attitude, which the one thing about Tottenham's, whether you think good, shit, tactics, whatever, definitely they're together. They're united. The one thing I've always been consistent about is they're still playing for the manager. So we need to have like a no dickheads policy, and I don't know if Garnacho falls into that. Kobe Mino would be delighted to have. Yeah. Spud Maestro says, I can't really believe that he didn't start final. I know he's had injury issues, but I'd have tried to find a place for him personally. Spud Maestro says, KDB and Visser to Saka and Evan Nilsson / Welbeck -4. Only if you need to do that for financial reasons to get to Saka, in which case Evan Nilsson is my preference. Alejandro Perez says, I have both triple captain and bench boost. Will burn 1. Cool. I'd be using the bench boost if that's what you're asking, but I can't see your team. Thank you, KP. Yeah, got it. Stuart Day says, hi, James. KDB to Martinelli or Trossard for free, or KDB to Saka for a hit, doing Cunha to Evan Nilsson bench rod. You need, I think, to buy one of the others for free. I think you need some information that you feel comfortable with, personally. Otherwise, I'd go Saka. Jacob S says, hey James, trying to make up 30 to 40 points overall league. Is it worth a hit to replace Trippier with Share, White? No, mate. No. And yes, 40 points down, bench boost in play. That's a little different. Multiple differentials. Should I not captain Salah and go elsewhere? So that's likely to be different too. Big thanks. Listen, if you captain someone who does really well this week, it's going to be massive for you, whoever that is. It's not like Salah's EO is going to be 170% or anything like that. So, no. Go with the one you think is going to get the most points, mate. James Morgan says, do you still think Ange is going? Only if Tottenham have already agreed something with someone else, and we can't rule that out as a possibility. And under that circumstance, then I would say yes. But at the moment, no. And I think if you ask most Tottenham fans now would say, fuck it, just see how it starts next season. I don't think it's more than that, by the way. I think see how it starts next season. Stuart Day says, thanks for the content this season. First discovered your pod in pre-season. Clash of Correspondence has been tuning in every week. Looking forward to next season. Cheers. Thank you. Dan Bianchiani says, want to buy Evan Nielsen. Should I sell Watkins and Marmouche? I will forward his vis. Did you watch the Hall and Blank vid this week? I'm going to say Watkins. Neil Kager says, hi, James. Thanks for everything. Watching this over a lovely hospital breakfast. Neil, you go well, mate. Glad the op went all right for you, mate. Speedy recovery, pal. Out Space says, hi, mate. I need to bench one of Bradley Munoz Vardio Consa. I'm going to say Munoz. Robert Pugsley, good morning, James. Come you Spurs. Thanks, Robert. Dear Kadakia, love from India. Play Murphy or KD. Or play Murphy. Or KDB to Saka -4 to -4, mate. Vishnu says, ideal free hit squad where I could go 11 different players to my free hit rival. I don't know what players your rival's got, mate, but I read out the kind of free hit I'd go for, mate. Shit. Lost me, Fred. Sorry. I'll find. God, a lot of questions in here, aren't there? Did that. Copeland, Garland, James, what now with Ange? Given next season as well, I'll let him go. Yeah, I think stay now. And I'm surprised, I'll be honest, I'm surprised I'm saying that. But I also think I couldn't have equated what it would mean to win. And I didn't think we would, right? And also the reaction to him afterwards. And even being in the ground Wednesday night and being like, give Ange the cup. I want to see Ange with a cup. And I didn't, that was something I felt within me. I wanted to see him with it. And then the speech Friday was mic drop, wasn't it? So he knows what he's doing. I just think you damage a real good happy moment. The club's in a happy moment for a change. Like I said, there's nothing there that I've looked, and trust me, I've been looking for 3 months. There's nothing out there I'm like, oh yeah, that's the one I want. Like I said, if you want to say, oh yeah, Tottenham was shaking hands on Luis Enrique, thanks, Ange. But I kind of need that sort of thing, otherwise don't bother. Shane Colvin says, thank you and your team for everything this season. Enjoy your short but well-deserved break. Thank you, mate. Little short break from this Thursday coming till Monday, June the 9th, guys. Very short break. Kofgan says, play Wood or Rogers. Thanks, mate. I played a striker in nearly every scenario that someone's going to ask me today. I'd say the striker. Again, shout out to our patrons. If we've got any information going around, let us know. I also need to remember to make my own bloody transfers at this point in time. Just checking in on a couple of messages. Nothing. FPL Main Road. This is a bit of an older one, but just getting this information now that Vardio does start. It's obviously not going to come as any surprise to anyone. FPL Main Road is pretty reliable. So Josko Vardio starts. Thomas Thornton, what do we think with United? I think they might be relegation for the next year with having to serve one. Make sure win all the better. No, United won't go down. They won't go down. They need a reset. Going to be a tough couple of years for them. That's straight. They needed Champions League football money, essentially. Child Dude 22. Hey James, I've been chasing, but now in the lead. Do I remove Haaland and Sarr to Salah and Vissa to protect my lead? 2 free transfers, assistant manager on Hertzler. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you've explained your reasoning, so I'm okay with that. Yeah, fine. Kieran Murphy says, anyone worth selling from Vissa, Wood or Isak, or just do Constance White? Yeah, I'd move on Wood, mate, personally. Morecambe says, hi James, front threes, Watkins, Vissa, Isak. Transfer out any of these for Evan Nielsen. Yeah, I'm going to say Watkins, yeah. Most bought last week. Matthew Hill, yes, that's the word that KDB doesn't start. Almost Seco says, am I being naive for really liking Eze this week? Preferring to use my free transfer on Saliba to White to bench Milenkovic over Eze to Trossard. Thanks for the season, mate. Good luck for this one. Congrats for the Europa League. Thank you, mate. Yeah, listen, if you know what you want to do, okay, which you've just explained, that's what you want to do, crack on, mate. Crack on. You'll know what my thoughts are because I've said it consistently all week long. But if that's what you want to do, crack on. You're improving your team, right? I can't argue that. Thomas Thornton says, I have KDB on bench, but quite happy with my 4 of Salah, Diaz, Rogers, Bumo. Would you minus for Saka? Yes. personally. Another Hoops is all right, mate. Thanks again for all your content this season. Enjoy your summer. Thank you, you too. King of Mandalore, Cunha to Welbeck, Rogers to Saka, captain -4. Yes. FPL Giant, what to do with Cunha? I think it's a bin. There ain't going to be information on him between now and deadline. I'd be staggered if there is. Yeah, I got it. Once is enough, my friend. Thank you. Sean Buckley, hey champ, I have Marino. How many minutes do you predict he gets today? 65. Well, no, less, because I don't have him in my predicted Arsenal team. But I think that's a reasonable prediction, is 65 still at the same time. Morecambe says, hi James, defensive Raya, Livramento, Kirkis plus Kivior or Vardio. Kivior. Jeffrey says, would you captain Haaland if you had him over Saka? No, I wouldn't. But I get the temptation. He in himself is a big enough differential, isn't he? Andrew Sand says, if we find out that Foden starts, how do you view sorry. If we find out that Foden starts, I'd be very surprised if he does, Andrew. How do you view KDB to Foden company plan? I mean, he's injured, Andrew. Like, he's carrying an injury. He's literally said it himself out of his own mouth this week. So that is not the final day punt that I'd be taking, mate. Newcastle tweeted that Isak's in the ground as well. So, and I'm watching a video now of Isak walking into the stadium. I mean, that's one hell of a blag if he's injured. And I don't know, with this as well, you say, oh, kid the opponent. But then that's going to do for the crowd. They'll be like, oh, I saw Isak walking in the ground. He's not playing. Yeah, today's not the day to fuck about. Gav P says, hi, James. Just want to say thanks for the content this year. Congrats on the win. Thank you. Greg Cook says, hey, James, no question. Thanks for the help. My best ever year, and congrats to you and Spurs for Wednesday. Thank you. Smashed it this year, Greg. Well done, mate. Simon Bibby, my Toon correspondence in. Thank you, brother, for another season of diamond content. Have a lovely summer. See you for correspondent week. Thank you, mate. Look forward to that. Word coming in from Asim LFC, who's pretty reliable, that Luis Diaz starts. Thank you for that, Colin Con. So Luis Diaz expected to start for Liverpool. That's what's being reported, and there's every chance that fella might have more Liverpool information before deadline, I would suggest. Next up, Jay says, would you rather Saka or Evan Nilsson? Saka. Andrew Sands, just 104 days until the first international break. Bomb. Almost says, one more, 5 points ahead in mini league. Rival has Salah. Saka. I don't have Saka. If you knew they were going to cap Saka, would you take a hit to buy and cap him too? Cheers again. Depends how scared are you, mate. I mean, taking Saka on with Salah, there's worse things you can do, mate. Well said, Matthew. Great answer, mate. Can Indian Devil best triple captain? Saka. Dia, come on, once enough, please, my friend. Don J123, is that playing? Yes, sounds like it. Alvern says, hi boss, I'm new to the channel and I'm happy to find your content helpful during the last game of the season. I'm happy to subscribe and look forward to more next season. Brilliant, mate. Thank you. Ahmed says, I'm on bench boost. Which should I do? Eze to Cliver or Semenyo? Semenyo's my preference. Or Trossard Martinelli to take a hit and do Isak to Evan Nilsson. Eze to Saka. Don't be an Isak at this moment. I wouldn't be in him, mate. That's ultimately what I'm going to say at this moment. If you're an Alexander Isak owner still at this moment, would not be selling him. Can I tell you truthfully, I can't go Elanga to Saka and Cunha to Isak. If I could, I'd be fucking tempted. Rather than Evan Nilsson. I'd be very tempted. Yeah, no, there's no way I can do it. Not enough. Rogers to... If I went Rogers instead to... Saka. Yeah, 1.3 from Cunha. It's not enough. So, James, don't forget to make transfers, by the way, mate. And there's every chance, guys, by the way, that the app, the site, whatever, is gonna be hot in the lot. Don't leave it beyond sort of 228, guys. I'm sure there will be some info at 229, but I would advise against leaving it quite that late. I'll be going at 225. Johnny says, hi James, Liverpool lineup. My predicted lineup's on screen. We think Luis Diaz is starting, seems to be the information. James Cooper, the captaincy preferences are on the screen, mate. Alvin, I wouldn't sell Isak, as I've said. Andrew Nellis, hi James, protecting 5k overall. KDB Sard, Saka for free. Would mean playing one of Asensio or Cunha. Yeah, that's fine, mate. Martin Tradashel, I have Ray Vardiol, Diaz, Munoz, Williams, Saliba, 1 free transfer. Saliba out for Burn because my rival has Burn. Which free to start? Well, you're obviously going to start Burn, aren't you? And then Vardiol, Diaz will go to City, guys, mate. Sydney, I would go Wood over Rodgers. Right, let's get. I'm sorry, I did all that in reverse order. Ramez says, how many drinks did you have during the Europa final? I didn't have any during the final, mate. It was in the stadium. There was no alcoholic drinks in the stadium, mate. I had 5 before the game, the last one of which was about 2.5 hours before kickoff. Daniel, Trossard and Martinelli want a punt. My preference is with Martinelli, but there is gamble and risk in both of them. Greg says, Havertz punt probably too risky. Like the stream guy, yeah, that's how I feel, Greg, yeah. Noah says, hi James, who would you go for out of Welbeck, Semenyo or an Arsenal mid? League dependent, cheers. League dependent, I'd go Martinelli, like if he's in. Otherwise, yeah, sure, Welbeck up front. I've said I like Semenyo. Mohamed Ishmael says, KDB to Saka or Kluivert, Saka. Miridal says, have Aït-Nouri and Cunha. Would you do Aït-Nouri to White or Cunha to Evan Nilsson or both? I'd do Cunha to Evan Nilsson. Hello, Russell Baker. Hope you're well. Bald Bean Counter, bench Rodgers or Semenyo, bench Rodgers. Ben says, hi James, cheers for the boss content this year. Thank you, mate. Silentievazi says, Sarr and Haaland to Salah and Isak or Evan Nilsson, 2 free transfers. Again, I'm not sure I'd be bidding Haaland at this point either, right? Would be the point. Sam Robertson says, Captain Mikey Moore up the Spurs. Silencio. Yeah, go for it. Go for it. I'd go Salah and Isak at this point, I think. You could see the fact that I went and double checked. I was like, is there a different route to Isak? I'll go Isak. Paul H says, hi James, would you bench Marmoush or Rodgers? Ben says, hi, a forward line is Salah, Semenyo, Bumo, Bowen, Watkins, Isak, Visser. Time for a defensive transfer or Rodgers up to Gordon, etc. and bench one of the above. Christ, you're not going to be happy benching any of the rest of them. That's a good front line, mate. That doesn't even have any Arsenal in it either. Okay, yeah, I mean, that's one I'm fine with, a defensive one. DTAF, Arsenal team news would be Kushti. Yes, it would, mate. But we're not expecting anything at this moment. 2 more minutes for me, and then I'm going with transfers. In fact, I can fucking go at Cunha to Evan Nilsson now, can't I? Nothing's going to fucking stop me doing that. Luis Marcos, Munoz and Gruda or Livramento and Gruda. Livramento. Danny Kirk, does Cunha start? Depends on Larsson's fitness ultimately. Kieran Murphy, Wood to Evan Nilsson or Konsa to White. Evan Nilsson is my answer, mate. FPL Tiger, you think Trent starts? No, I'd be amazed. David James Whiteway, Man United deserve to lose the way they treated people at the club. That's for others to decide. They don't deserve to, fan base don't deserve to lose and stuff. Jake -4, and the United fans I saw out there were good, man. Jake says -4 for KDB and Mateta to Bowen and Isak. 30-point lead, but secondly, is Isak worth it? Yeah, I would, mate. Yeah, Mark Dummel, change Visser or Cunha to Evan Nilsson. Cunha or change Rodgers to anyone. I would go to the Evan Nilsson move, mate. P9, does Rice outscore Saka today? It's a one-off game, mate. You could do. Yeah, we got it, Colin. Start Marmouche to your friend in the other language I can't read. Sorry. Alexander says done. Triple captain on Bowen. Saka, Evan Nilsson for -4. Let's go. Thanks for the content this season. Great stuff. Congrats on finally winning the trophy. Good luck last week. Looking forward to next. Abhishek says bench 1. Cucurella, Milenkovic, Williams. I'm going to say Williams. Alan Fong. Great name. It's Fung. Maybe, or maybe it's Pong, I don't know. Pope or Raya, mention Arsenal playing at Southampton. Static, Cliver or Luis Diaz, who do you think gets more points? I'm going to say Luis Diaz. DTAF -4, Isak and Saka for Vissa and Bumo. With its game week 38, hope Brentford don't show up today. Again, looking for confirmation bias, I think. Good luck. Steven Senna, sorry for already asked loads. KDB to Diaz or Saka? Guess what I'm going to say. Abhishek says the captaincy matrix might be a giveaway. Abhishek says bench 1. I've done that, mate. Come on, repeat questions are brain damage when other people want their questions asked. DTAF says, love you, James. Thanks for the content across the season. Enjoy your well-deserved break. Thank you. Christopher Delvale, surprised Watkins isn't on the captaincy prediction list. Is there any other reason for this other than the game being at Old Trafford? Yeah, I don't think Villa win today. I'm saying that all week. I'm not certain that they win today. Harry Trimble says, does Saka start, you think? Yes. Rene Rocha, play Cresswell or Munoz? Cresswell? James McDonough says, Sam C says Bruno starts. Thank you, James. It's not a surprise. FPL up on Martinelli or Diaz. I'd gamble Martinelli, personally. I mean, that Fernandes news is going to be no surprise to anybody. Right. Time to get your shit done, James. I'm doing a bit of me because I've done all the questions. I'm sure you can forgive me for that, can't you? Again, shout out to patrons. We've got any information going around, please do let us know. I have now bought Saka and Evan Nilsson. That is done. Saka into the team over Rodgers and captain. Is what it is, right? Is what it is. See if I put that updated team on the screen for you. I think I probably can. Let's see. Put it to 11. No, not that. Try that button, James. There you go. No, that's not the one. Try again. There you go. That's my team updated on screen for you. That's done. Should be live. Alan, I feel like I've answered your question, mate. FPL up or Martinelli for me, mate. If Fafis, I can't remember your name. Really don't know what to do with Hertzler and thinking prayer, but also hit for a Langard Semenya good. I'd probably leave the arse man as it is, mate, personally. Gavin Richardson, non-FPL, have a good game. Pity you're not wearing a clown costume. Enjoy your day. Peter Dirtson, choose 1-8. Nori Milenkovic, Wan-Bissaka or Kivio. Static says, thanks for the content change and welcome Martin King. Quiz. Cheers, James. Thank you. Neil Kager, good luck, James. You deserve ending the season on an FPL high note after the big Spurs win as well. Thank you. Paige says, hey guys, bench Gibbs White or Palmer? I would bench Gibbs White, mate. George, really like. You're welcome. David Jones Whiteway, Man United should have said the way Ineos have treated people. Yeah, that would be fair. Yeah, I don't think there's any sympathy for what Ineos have been doing. Yeah, that's fair, mate. Just when you label club like that, I always feel there'd be people like the people who work there don't deserve it, right? I've been working under Ineos and obviously the fans as well, right? Most of which are very good. So when we group all that together, it's like you could say, I don't like Ratcliffe. Fine. Right, we are 2 minutes from deadline, guys. As far as I can see, there is nothing else coming in terms of team news, but you never know, there might be. Do you know what? His last day of the season, I feel like just shouting out something rogue. Like, Salah's bench! He's not. That would be one, wouldn't it? Rowan Carrera, Watkins, Vissa worth a hit to Evan Nilsson. Hit, I wouldn't do, no. Still good. Minute to deadline, guys. As a reminder, I'm going to be running out the door when this deadline strikes because I got a trophy to go and see again. Stuart Day, what's your favourite FPL moment of the season so far? Benching Pedro Porro when he scored at the Etihad. For me, actually, it was probably Watkins' 2 goals against Everton game week 4, because I was getting absolutely destroyed that day and I'd captained Watkins, so that saved me. I'd probably say that was the first one that come to mind. Also, Bumo's late winner against Ipswich, the cross that went in, I captained Bumo that day. That was a big one as well. So they were quite early. Gavin Richardson says, do you think minus 56 in your team was the deal with the devil for Spurs to win the cup? It might have been, Gavin. I'd happily do it again. Bogues11, congrats James on a great year and a trophy as a Man United supporter, but Aussie, I was very torn. Thank you, mate. I wish you luck. We are at deadline, guys. It is 2:30 p.m. All the decisions you can make with your FPL. I've just received a message that says Trent is starting, but I don't know the source on that, and I wouldn't believe it. Yeah, I wouldn't believe that. Anyway, ordinarily I'd hang around. Love to would have stayed and covered the team news with you guys, but I have to get myself to White Hart Lane. Thank you all so much for your support throughout the season. Remember, there's no content tomorrow because it's a bank holiday here in the UK, so I'm spending some time with the family. So just be with me for the Game Review podcast on Tuesday, final Clayton and James show of the season on Wednesday as well. If you want to support the show, it's www.patreon.com/planetfpl. There's plenty more going on over there, including our Patreon Q&A on Tuesday, and the final podcast we do of the 24-25 season will be Tottenham talking about Bilbao on Wednesday on Patreon. Guys, thank you all so much for the support throughout the season. Remember, play it your way is not for one season. It'll also be for next season. We'll be back next season. There will be more deadline streams. I absolutely promise. Smash a like, hit the sub button. Enjoy final day. Good luck to your teams, everyone. Ciao for now.